It's been 2 weeks and I amassed 171.5 hours of playtime in Monster Hunter Wilds. I felt it in the first 2 hours, but I've solidified my belief that Monster Hunter Wilds is a beautiful mess. But it's not the game for me. And that's okay, I didn't think it would be for a number of reasons, but after spending so much time with it, I can finally piece together how I'm really feeling. If I were to rate Monster Hunter Wilds as a video game, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8. As a Monster Hunter game, probably a high 6. On my tier list, it ranks pretty low, like a C or a D among the base games, and I say base games because comparing it to an expansion is a bad idea. There are 5 major reasons why this game doesn't resonate with me alongside a slew of minor issues, but let's first talk about what I genuinely enjoyed, because while it may not be the game for me, there are still parts of it that I fell in love with. The expansion of the lore is insane. The story has opened up Pandora's box, and I can only imagine what that means for the future of the series. For someone like me who's more invested in the combat side of the game, I never cared much about the franchise's story. However, with what Wilds introduced, I've actually gone and watched a ton of lore-related videos, mostly from Oceanus. If it weren't for the crazy stuff Wilds introduced, I don't think I would have ever cared. 2, the visuals are kinda on point. Performance issues aside, the visuals are amazing, from elemental effects to super minute details like footprints in the sand and water ripples in the forest. I actually find myself staring quite often at other things while I'm fighting, and it's just purely for dopamine. I especially love the Switch Axe's sword mode visuals. It actually brings me back to how good portable third sword effects were. To be quite honest, World disappointed me because Charge Blade Discharge was absolutely insane, but Switch Axe discharges were just different colored movie smoke. Rise didn't do this any better just because in the demo, the discharge and file bursts were awesome to look at, but when the game was fully released, we just got dollar store fireworks. Like, come on, man, like what is that? Wilds, on the other hand, oh my god, look at these. Wilds has Poison Drip, Ice Float, and amp state on non-power file Switch Axes aren't just green anymore, but actually representative of the element. This needs to continue in every game from this point forward. I don't care, it has to be. And third, armor customization, specifically the coloring side. I'll say it to the day I die, but Stories 1 had the best armor coloring in the series because you were able to change the color of the actual armor instead of a decal or some weird little fringe tip. So if you wanted like black Rathian gear, you got it. Outside of that, gameplay will always remain the priority for me when playing any video game. Even if it's a story-focused game, the gameplay needs to be good too, or I'm not enjoying it. While Monster Hunter Wilds does deliver the same hunting action we know and expect, there's many aspects of its design that just ruin it for me. It feels like a downgrade as a sequel. I found Wilds to be a step back compared to Base World and Base Rise. A good sequel should not only address issues from its predecessors, but expand and innovate on the formula that made it great in the first place. Of course, by experimenting with innovations, you're obviously going to run into issues unique to that particular title. Franchises like Neo, Divinity, and XCOM excel at this by introducing new features and correcting what was initially wrong in their previous title. Sure, not every change was perfect, but they weren't overtly destructive and made sure that they corrected the flaws of their previous game, even if there were new ones. Other franchises like Halo or Ghost Recon fall short because they somehow find ways to just destroy the legacy of these games. Halo truly peaked at Reach, but with the decisions made by 343 during the title update era of Reach, I called what was about to happen in 4. Maps and non-ranked game modes were being made with MLG as the priority by expanding the map sizes and limiting cover while making precision weapons like Battle Rifle, DMR, Needle Rifle, Light Rifle, and Carbine the default weapon even for regular Slayer game modes. It took the aspect of the for fun gameplay away from the series, and it signaled to me that 343 didn't really know what they were doing with Halo. As for Wilds, it's almost like they took one step forward with a problem that was in World, and then they take 2 steps back. Multiplayer is a glaring example. Surely you're aware because I believe a majority of my audience started in World. Whoever posted the quest had to watch the cutscene before their friends could join, and the cutscenes weren't skippable. Classic Monster Hunter games separated village and hub quests, with the village showing the cutscenes for monsters, while hub just let you get straight into it with the exception of a few monster exclusive hub quests. Even still, it allowed friends to join quests that had been cutscenes by either showing everyone in the cutscene or allowing everyone the opportunity to skip it. For Wilds, you can skip the cutscenes, but your friends still aren't able to join until you actually do. What kind of nonsense is that? Even after skipping cutscenes, the disruptive flow makes co-op gameplay through the story so annoying. Rise handled this way better by allowing players to join quests and watch cutscenes together. Granted, they weren't as dynamic as World or Wilds. To me, Wilds' approach undermines one of the most appealing aspects of Monster Hunter, which is hunting with friends. It's like when they took away split screen from Halo. Like, why? It's already frustrating enough that you're put on way too many rails during the course of the story. Now I can't even play with my friends without having to backtrack for them. Secondly, the pseudo live service format. While World and Wilds aren't full-fledged live service games, it flirts heavily with that model. Title updates, limited time event quests, massive lobbies, and login bonuses all nudge the game toward an unnecessary and frustrating format to deal with. The limited time event quests and weekly bounties locked content behind FOMO-driven rotations, which should never exist in Monster Hunter. Siege quests, while interesting in concept, need refinement to align better with the series' core gameplay, and I'm more lenient on this as every Monster Hunter game has an experimental feature that is improved in the next game, which I feel that Jin Dahad does greatly, because while it is technically a siege quest, it plays almost the same, except without all the tedious going back and forth grinding to break certain parts. That's a good addition. And as for login bonuses, they shouldn't exist in Monster Hunter either. Ever. Title updates, while free, promotes its own set of issues. The game feels incomplete at launch, and power creep is so tangible. Let's be real here, guys. I've seen tons of theories talking about Capcom releasing Wilds a little too early due to the fiscal year ending in March. Any Tokuda-directed Monster Hunter game is a guaranteed hit, as he has more than delivered on the goal the series aimed for with World, which was to expand the franchise beyond being a niche series outside of Japan. Mission accomplished, so when everyone saw Monster Hunter World 2, it was already in the bag. With that fiscal year theory, people speculate that the game is left incomplete and that we'll be getting the rest of the game through title updates because they wanted to get their payment then before the fiscal year ended. Me personally, World felt complete on launch. Rise's development was hindered by COVID, so it had to use title updates to catch up to the true 1.0, and Wild seems like it's following Rise but under different circumstances. Skills that aren't working on launch, so Shia not being replayable unless you accept an SOS flare, certain monsters speculated to be available on launch that are pushed back, the promise of more challenging content that we have to spend the first month getting ready for. I mean, it's kind of out there. In my honest opinion, the game should come out feature complete, while title updates should improve upon that foundation. That's really not a lot to ask for, and it's insane that asking for simple things can get so much hatred from people who think that just having the game is already a blessing. It's kind of like Pokemon, where the National Dex isn't complete until way later in the game's life cycle, and you gotta wait for updates to the game and Pokemon Home. Like, what happened? If you want to use the excuse of ranked battles, just play the current regulation where you can only use that region's Pokemon for that period and allow people to catch or transfer old gen Mons. Am I crazy for thinking this? These things are series staples, and yet in this day and age, we need to be drip fed the rest of the game? I hate that, especially with World and Wilds, because more content will release and allow you to slightly upgrade the talisman again until basically the end of the expansion content and its title updates, where you'll be able to max out the ones that actually matter. And the other issue, which was super prevalent in World and slightly corrected in Rise, is title updates causing power creep. Power creep is the introduction of new content alongside legacy content, where the newer content trivializes the old content. If you remember from World, Call of Tarath and Behemoth's addition to the game, alongside several event quests with powerful armor like Dante's set, just constantly eclipsed other armor pieces by way of defense, skill combinations, and most importantly, decoration slots. Iceborne was no better with Safi, Raging Bracky, and Arc-Tempered monsters. Even Rise and Sunbreak had this issue, like with Sneak Attack Heaven Sent Gun Lance, Furious Dragon Conversion Elemental Charge Blade, Frostcraft Greatsword, Wind Metal Dual Blades, Hellfire Cloak, the list goes on. You already know what I'm talking about. With how Wilds changed the decoration system, the possibility of new armors being released with better decoration slots could really see players shifting from base game pieces to the new ones every single update. Right now, Guardian Anjanath, Arkveld, Gormagala, and Jindahad pieces are the focus due to their skills, decoration slots, and combination with one another. If Mizitsune and the other powered up monsters' armor isn't trash and has good decoration slots and skills, this is guaranteed to happen again and again. I don't know, I feel strongly against it in a way that I know people wouldn't necessarily agree with. Because I personally feel like these new pieces should work better alongside the legacy content as opposed to completely overshadowing them. Number 3. The current endgame is terrible. A good endgame offers meaningful challenges and rewards. Wilds, however, relies on tedious farming loops centered around Artian weapons. These weapons are obviously superior to traditionally crafted weapons, forcing players into repetitive hunts for the materials required to make them. The only challenging monsters are the Apex monsters, Gormagala, and Arkveld if they're all tempered. It kind of makes it boring in a way. The process is full of issues. Monster spawns for investigations and their quest rotations are annoying to get. Random material rewards like blades and devices having 2 stat types and 2 elements make it super grindy, and the exhausting grind for Orichalcite all combined to make Monster Hunter Oops All Arkveld. Even for a game that thrives on grinding, this system feels unnecessarily punishing. Worse yet, the Artian system strips away customization for weapons with complex mechanics. For instance, Switch Axe and Charge Blade can only have element file with elements and power or impact for status. Why is there no option to have other file types, and why can't there be elements with power or impact file? It's like this feature is half-baked for some weapons. Not like it matters though, cause paralysis is the new meta anyhow, but the system caters poorly to advanced mechanics and rewards raw damage builds over creative playstyles. If there's anything we've learned from World, the level of overcorrection to make element more important than a particular status could result in another nightmare scenario like Alatreon. I'm sorry, I know people like Eschaton Judgment, but giving it an MMO mechanic should not have happened. Behemoth gets a pass because it comes from an MMORPG and it was done right. But Alatreon was a step too far. Instead of giving it the ability to kill you for free, they should have had Alatreon start off in an entirely unstable state, where the more elemental damage you deal over the course of the hunt, the more you suppress its power. Basically copying World Fatalis, where breaking the head reduces its flame power in the final phase, but you can still win without doing so. Now, I saw a clip that I'm too lazy to find of Asmongold speaking about games and how they shouldn't be made with the advanced players in mind, because they'll find ways to make the games more challenging on their own, like speedrunners or challenge runners. I disagree, as challenging content is a cornerstone for players who've reached the pinnacle and want to test their high-end gear against something that won't croak in 2 seconds. So long as this content is optional and not mandatory, as players of a lower skill level need to learn the fundamentals and improve their own skills before they too can take on these challenges. Number 4, the UI, at certain points, is god awful. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, cause what the fuck is this? This is so needlessly complex that I'm baffled it was allowed through. I hate the item pouch with all the fire in my soul. This is so stupid. I don't even need to elaborate on it. Yay, the chest is automatically sorted, but good God, that doesn't make up for it. The number of menus are insane next to submenus. How do we get here? If you have a particular choice of preference for how you want your UI to look, such as camp equipment screen or smithy armor screen, that stuff will revert if you exit the game or exit the menu in some cases. I love World and Rise's equipment screen. Just show me the armor by series by default. I was never a fan of classic Monster Hunter's armor and weapon equipment screens since they just show differently colored JPEGs of the armor image, and if you had a lot of them, finding what you wanted was a nightmare, and it's nice that they allow you to see your armor in the classic format, but hot damn. And the worst of all, there's no remove all decorations from chest feature. You might be saying to yourself, but Monster, it's right there. No, it only removes the decorations from your current armor. Dude, Even World had this. How the hell did we get here? I'm supposed to navigate these stressful ass menus the whole time? Oh hell nah, bruh. I cannot wait for the next Portal game, especially if it's by Yasunori Ichinose. Lastly, which connects to my last point, I just don't like the direction of the mainline games anymore. I enjoy playing older Monster Hunter games outside of Monster Hunter Tri. That's my least favorite MH game next to World. Have you ever been jumped by a pack of Jaggies before? Not fun. However, with the current direction of the mainline games, I'm less and less invested as certain elements are being changed in ways I just don't personally like. That's not to say that you can't enjoy them. Go ahead and do what makes you happy, but my faith lies in Ichinose and several lead player designers who, if you didn't know, are the ones responsible for what your hunters can do. I'm not saying it's purely the experimental factor of the portable games that intrigues me. Far from it. It's due to their continuation of the traditional Monster Hunter formula paired with the entertaining gameplay. I don't mind if it seems shallow that I prefer the portable titles. I'm sure there are people who only like Monster Hunter's mainline style, and I'm absolutely certain there's people who only enjoy the World formula, and that's okay too. Wilds falls flat for me, but I'm still going to play it and deliver the best quality videos that I can. I know I missed the boat of early content creation, but I'll try to ramp it up in the coming weeks. Anyway, Monster Hunter Wilds may not be the game for me, but if you enjoy it, then that's all that really matters, right? Until next time.